All right, today we're diving into a really powerful, really ancient idea, one that's been shaping how we care for people for centuries. It's this concept that our dignity, our worth, comes from being made in the image of God. But what does that actually mean? And why is it such an incredibly solid foundation for fields like social work? Well, let's get into it. You know, every single society, every culture has to wrestle with this huge question. Where does our dignity come from? I mean, you really think about it. Is it something you have to earn? Something a government just decides to give you? Is it tied to your abilities? How smart you are, how productive you are? It's a fundamental question. So the Judeo-Christian tradition comes in with this radical answer. And it's right there at the very beginning of the Bible, in Genesis. It says that our value, our worth, isn't based on what we do. Not at all. It's based on who we are, creatures made in the very image of our Creator. That changes everything. Okay, so this whole concept is so central, it has a name. It's called the Imago Dei. Let's do a little deep dive into what that really means. So Imago Dei, it's just Latin for image of God. And right away, we need to be clear, this isn't about looking like God physically, of course. It's about a unique quality that we have as humans. This incredible capacity to kind of reflect and represent God right here, in creation. Now, this is where it gets really interesting. Theologians have kind of broken this down into three different dimensions. First, you've got the substantive view. This is all about what's inside us, our ability to reason, our moral compass, our capacity for relationships, things that reflect God. Then there's the functional view, which is about what we're called to do, to act as caretakers, as stewards of creation. And finally, the relational view. This one's huge. It says we live out this image in community with each other, which itself reflects the nature of God. But, okay, a big question comes up right away, right? What about our flaws, our brokenness, what the Bible calls sin? Does that get rid of the image? And the answer is a resounding no. The idea is that sin has distorted the image, for sure. It's marred it, but it has not destroyed it. It's still there. And that is so important because it means every single person, no matter what they've done, no matter what their abilities are, still has this foundational, unshakable dignity. All right, so how does this idea of the Imago Dei actually stack up against other ways of thinking about human value? Let's contrast it with a few other worldviews, from the ancient world and from today. You have to understand, when this was first written, this was a revolutionary idea. I mean, totally game-changing. When you compare it to other ancient creation stories, well, the Genesis account is just, as the quote says, breathtaking. Why? Because it gives this incredible dignity to everybody, not just the kings, not just the pharaohs or the heroes, but to all of humanity. And this really shows you what I'm talking about. In so many other ancient myths, humans were basically created to be, well, lackeys for the gods, cosmic slaves to do the heavy lifting. But the biblical view, it's the complete opposite. It elevates all of humanity to the level of God's representatives. We're given real responsibility, real dignity. Okay, so let's fast forward to today. The Imago Dei Foundation says our dignity is inherent. It's baked in. It comes from an external source, God, and nothing can take it away. Now, a lot of modern, secular ways of thinking ground our dignity in something that's contingent. That's a key word. It means your dignity depends on something internal, like your ability to think or to feel or your usefulness to society. And look, this isn't just a philosophical debate. This difference has massive real-world consequences. Because think about it. If your worth depends on your abilities, what happens when those abilities fade? Or what if they haven't fully developed yet? Suddenly, these frameworks for dignity become really, really fragile. And they can start to exclude people on the margins, folks with severe cognitive disabilities, the unborn, the elderly at the very end of their lives. Okay, so we've been deep in the theology. Now it's time to get practical. Let's talk about what this means for social work, like on the ground today. And this is really the heart of it, isn't it? If you truly deeply believe that every single person you meet, with zero exceptions, is a bearer of God's image, well, how does that not completely change how you do your work day in and day out? So the implications just cascade from there. First, it means non-discrimination is a non-negotiable. A client's worth is never, ever up for debate. It means you have to actively fight against stigma, looking past labels like addict or homeless to see the image bearer underneath. It means you're all about empowerment, because every person has this built-in, God-given capacity and creativity. And of course, it means you're committed to the dignity of the whole person across their whole life.
from the very beginning to the very end. And this commitment has to show up in the smallest details, right down to the words we use. The language we choose when we talk about vulnerable people, it matters. It matters a lot, because our words have the power to either build up and affirm that dignity or to tear it down.
All right, as we bring this home, there's one last really powerful idea I want to leave you with. The image of God isn't just a status we have. It's not passive. It's actually a calling, a vocation.
Okay, get ready, because this is where the idea gets even bigger. Being made in God's image isn't just about our inherent worth, why we deserve respect. It's also about our inherent qualification. It's about what we are equipped to do. So scholars will point you to a passage in Genesis 9. The reason given for why you can't take a human life is because humans are made in God's image. And the logic there is incredible. It's that this image qualifies us. It gives us the credentials, so to speak, for the godlike work of bringing justice and order into the world. You see, we're not just made to be valued, we're made to create value. And that's the question I want to leave you with. If this is true, I mean, really true, that every single person you see, from the CEO to the person on the street corner, if they are all bearers of the divine image, qualified to participate in the work of creation, then how must we change the way we see the world? And how must we change the way we see everyone in it?